So today I'm going to be talking about my favorite books of 2020. So I'm really excited about it. And yeah, okay, just going to get right into it. So I'm going to start from the earlier books I read in 2020 to the later books. So these aren't in order of preference, they're in order of I read them. And then at the end I'll be like, this was my number one book, that kind of thing. So yeah, I've got my Goodreads open so I can make sure to not forget anything, because, I wouldn't want to do that. So the first book, and actually one of my favorite books I read this year, was Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. So most of you probably are familiar with it. The second book just came out recently. Not great reviews, but the first one is pretty loved by a lot of people. It's really good for I would say readers and non-readers alike. It's very fast-paced. It's about future world that's been demolished by environmental changes. So it actually does have a little bit of environmentalism in it, which is not really talked about or seen in the movie, but it's there if you read the book. And so it's basically this world where VR and that kind of thing is huge, and they spend a lot of their lives there. The owner of the VR company dies, and there's a scavenger hunt. So it's a bit of a puzzle thing, and so it's really good. It's really fast-paced. It's really great. It's really good if you love 80s nostalgia type stuff. I don't know a lot about the 80s, video games or anything like that, so I read a lot of it and I couldn't figure out the clues, and that was kind of nice because I wasn't trying to solve it. I just was enjoying the ride. But my mom, big 80s person, and she absolutely loved it because of all the nostalgia it brought her, so I think it's really good. But it's really fast-paced, and it's really good for, readers, non-readers alike. The next book I read, and actually my next favorite, these are not all going to be favorites, but was Cersei by Madeline Miller, Greek mythology book about Cersei, who's the daughter of the sun guy. I don't remember, but anyway, it's really good. It's all about her. She's immortal. It has a lot of, if you know any Greek myths, you'll see snippets of them in it, and it's really good, but it's beautifully told, and it just stays with you. I gave this book 4 stars. It wasn't even a 5-star book, but it has stayed with me so much, and I've craved this book. I just miss being in this world, and I think, to me, that makes it one of my favorite books, and I'd probably go back and change it to a 5-star now. So I read a few more books that are not my favorites, but I really just want to give a shout out to Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This is one of my favorite books because of how personal and insightful it is. I really love all that you get to learn about OCD and the mind and what it can do to you, and I think that's beautiful. It's not one of my favorite books, however, because I didn't love the plot, but I think that was purposeful. Basically, a millionaire goes missing, and they're trying to figure out what happened to him, and that's the general plot, but it's really on the back burner to her OCD, the main character's OCD, and I think that's life with OCD. The plot, the rest of your life gets put on the back burner because of your mind, and I think it was beautifully done in that sense, and so I really loved it, and I think it's great if you're trying to understand OCD and one type of OCD. It's not a representation of all types. Specifically, it's about germ OCD. So I think it's really good insight into how damaging OCD can be. So I really loved it for that reason. Moving on to Gone Girl. I absolutely loved Gone Girl. I thought it was so good, and I'd seen the movie, so I kind of knew the plot. Oh, wait, hold on, let me tell you the plot. I'm trying to get better at actually saying the plot in these because I realize I don't. So Gone Girl is basically about a woman, it's a married couple, and the woman goes missing. Their house is torn apart, it looks like someone broke in, and they all suspect the husband of doing it. And so it's told from his point of view for a good amount of it, and you start to learn other things about him and stuff like that. But I think Gillian Flynn is brilliant at providing just the right amount of information when you need it. She will let you know on certain things when you need to know them, but keep you in suspense about others. So it's not like you're waiting the whole book for one answer. You are waiting for different answers, and you get them at different times. And I think it's really beautifully done. It is a great thriller. It's not scary, but it's really, really great. I absolutely loved it. It got me into reading more thrillers. So, I did never read anything like that. Then my next favorite would be one of my favorite books of all time, an absolutely remarkable thing, by Hank Green. This book I wasn't expecting to love as much as I did, but this was the book that got me back into reading, and I think it was absolutely wonderful, beautiful, like it reminds me of Ready Player One in the sense that it's fast-paced. Tell the plot. So an absolutely remarkable thing is about a girl. I'm so bad at remembering names, by the way. I don't know if you know, so I've never mentioned anyone's name. What is her name? Oh gosh, Alice? No, April. That was close. So her name's April. So April is walking home from her job, early in the AM at New York City, and she comes across this statue, and she's like I think she majored in art in college and stuff, and so she sees a statue, she walks by it, and then she's like, you know what, no, I should acknowledge this art, like someone spent a lot of time on it, and it's this giant like metal statue, and she calls her friend and is like, come here, like let's take a video of it, and they take a video of her like talking to the statue, they put it on the internet, and it goes viral because it turns out these statues, which they call curls, appeared all over the world at the exact same time, and they don't know what they are, how they appear. There's no video footage of them appearing. Like it's like very like, ooh, what happened? And so basically it's about her becoming famous for this, but also like dealing with fame, but also trying to figure out what these curls are and like this mystery. And it's so good, and it just it was beautiful, and I would recommend it to everyone. I really would. Especially if you liked Ready Player One, I think it's better. I know, hot take, but I do. I think it's a better version of Ready Player One. And then my next favorite, okay, I had a lot of favorites this year. This was a really good reading year for me, was Beartown by Frederick Backman. It's set in Sweden, and I love books set in different countries. And it is about this small town, Beartown, which is a hockey town. It's all about hockey. And you get to learn so much about the individuals there in that hockey town, the manager and the players of the hockey team, as well as other people who aren't as big into hockey living in a hockey town. And it's so immersive, and it's a great winter book, and it's just beautiful, and you figure out so much about the characters, but his writing style is really unique, and I really enjoyed that. It deals with some heavy themes, so I'll leave I did a first chapter review of Beartown, so if you want to hear the first chapter, I'll leave a link to that, but I really enjoyed it. But I wouldn't recommend it for everyone. There's definitely some heavy topics. So my next favorite was On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden. I absolutely adored this book. This was the first graphic novel that I read for fun. I had read a couple of graphic novels, Mouse and Persepolis, in high school, but this was the first one I read. No, it's not. I'm a liar. This was the second one I read for fun, but this first one I really enjoyed. The first one I read was Spill Zone by Scott Westerfeld. Wasn't my favorite, but it was really good. This was the first graphic novel I read that was huge, and it was so good, and it made me fall in love with graphic novels. It's the reason I read more, and I actually read quite a few that were very similar to this, so if you're interested in a video of if you like this, that kind of thing, I might do one about that type of graphic novel because it's very specific, but it's basically about plot. I'm gonna remember plot. It is about it's a dual timeline story about this girl who joins this crew that goes around and fixes up places around the galaxy, and also this girl 10 years before, I don't know, in high school, and her adjusting to this high school, meeting a girl, all this stuff, and it's really cute, and I loved it. It's really great. My next favorite was 4.48 Psychosis. So this book, it's a play, is by Sarah Kane, making sure that's right, Sarah Kane, and it is a beautiful, heart-wrenching, sublime, that's the word for it, depiction of depression, and the way that your mind can betray you, and the way that you can feel like you're not yourself. And I mean, it's definitely deals with heavy themes of depression, self-harm, all of these things. And so I definitely wouldn't recommend it for everyone, because it can be quite triggering, but it was beautifully done, and I think it really, really was powerful and beautiful, and it makes you feel seen if you've ever experienced anything like that. So I think it's really good if you have experienced that and you're in a place to read it, or if you haven't and you want to understand it. I think it does both really well. Gosh, that was a good one. And then my next favorite is also a graphic novel, Heartstopper. I have a full review of me gushing about this book, so I won't do a whole thing, but it's basically a love story, two guys, high school. It's perfection. I loved it so much. Listen to my review if you haven't. I really enjoyed doing that review. Oh, I just saw another book that's one of my favorites. Also, one of my favorites was Slate House by David Mitchell. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It's kind of very abstract, magical realism-y. So if you're interested in that, I can't really give a good summary, but it's about this house. It's really one of those books you just want to go into without reading a summary of. So, like, if you like that kind of thing, I think you'd really enjoy that one. My next favorite would be... This is my last favorite, too. I was looking at the rest of the books I've read. And yeah, this is definitely my last favorite. Would be Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. I gave this one 4 stars as well. But again, it's one of those, I'm very into how a book impacts you after you read it. So I think part of a review is how it felt at that moment, but then it's also how the book stays with you and how you think about it later. And I've thought a lot about this book. It was funny. It was touching. It was wonderful. I mean, it was really great plot. So Eleanor Oliphant is set in Scotland. I'm going to do a review on it. I don't know if I've done it yet, but when I do it, I'll add like it below or something. And the doobly-doo. DFTBA. So anyway, it's about this girl who, or a woman really, she's not a girl, and she works and she goes home and she drinks and she goes back to work. And she's just living this life, same life over and over, like same day over and over basically. She doesn't do anything of interest. And then she sees a old man fall down in the street and she ends up helping him with one of her coworkers, and it kind of sparks this like new life for her. Like she's starting to do things and be involved, and she confronts her past, and it's really beautiful and it's really well done. And I would highly recommend it. It's so good. So those are my top favorites. I don't know how many that was, but those are my favorites of 2020, and I really enjoyed all of them. I would highly recommend them to almost everyone. A couple were, again, they have warnings that I would recommend to everyone, but my absolute favorite, I'm going to pick one graphic novel and one book because I can't, So my absolute favorite book would have to be An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I love this book. It got me back into reading. I think it's wonderful, and I'm so excited to read A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor, which is the second book. I thought it was brilliant, and I loved it. And I couldn't say enough nice things about it. But Alias Grace. Did I say Alias Grace? Well, anyway, another one of my favorites is Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. This book, there's a recent Netflix series on it, so you might have seen that. But it's based on a true story about a girl named Grace Marks who was accused, tried, and went to prison for killing she was like a housemaid, and the top housemaid she killed, and supposedly, this is what she was convicted of, and the master of the house. And it's about her 10 years after the crime talking to a psychiatrist, 1800s. So the psychiatrist is kind of funny, measuring the head kind of thing, that's the kind of science at the time. So it's really interesting, but it's really beautifully done. I love Margaret Atwood. Her writing makes me just go, and you're like, I wish I could write like that. It just hits my soul. Love that book. That would probably be my second favorite if we're listing them. Absolutely Remarkable Thing, I had a really good connection to. Alias Grace, it was so beautiful, and I just adored that book. And then my favorite graphic novel, I gotta decide between Heartstopper and On a Sunbeam. Probably Heartstopper because of that making me love romance and all the feelings it gave me, but I really loved On a Sunbeam too. They're very close. They're very just different in my mind, but On a Sunbeam was beyond beautiful. So in terms of beautiful, giving you vibes of a whole different world, I would say On a Sunbeam. But in terms of romance that made me feel ooh, all warm and fuzzy, it was Heartstopper. So yeah, those are my favorites of 2020. Comment below your favorites or something you read. And I wanted to give a special shout out to one of my friends. I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name. I don't know. Anyway, a shout out to one of my friends who watches all of my videos. She'll know who she is, and I just want to say thank you. It means the world to me that you watch them, because, yeah, it's really nice of you. So, thank you. But yeah, thank you for watching. It really means a lot. Hope you had a good-ish 2020. So, yeah, thank you. This chair is very spinny today. Okay, am I crooked? I feel crooked. Okay. Hi. Hello. Okay, so... Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about my favorite books I read in 2020. So I'm really excited about this video because, you know, I get to go over all the books that I read in 2020. Okay, nope, that's not it. Okay,